Hello everyone! First of all, I'd like to thank ADNU University Senior High School for inviting me to talk today. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Kim Brian Ciudadano. I'm an architect by profession and I'm currently affiliated with Bicol Medical Center as the resident architect. I'm also a part-time faculty member at the College of Engineering and Architecture at University of Nueva Cáceres. And I'm also a private consultant for various projects here and there. When I was about to graduate from high school, I wanted to be part of the medical field. I wanted to become a doctor because I was highly influenced by my mom who is working in the medical field. The idea of me being in the medical field was exciting, except for the part that I am afraid of needles. Needless to say, I abandoned the thought of becoming a doctor because of that. But here I am, currently affiliated with Bicol Medical Center years later. Going back in time and thinking about the old me, I wonder, how did I choose to become what I am today? How did I choose to become an architect? The anxiety that you feel now as future college students is a normal experience. Even I, for once, was in your shoes thinking what course will I write in my college application. I found out that back in high school, I liked drawing, of course, and transforming spaces. And by transforming spaces, I mean rearranging the furnitures in our house to give the room a different feeling or a different vibe. It gave me a sense of fulfillment knowing that my mom would trust and appreciate my work after it's done. I chose to study architecture for that simple reason. I focus on strengthening the skills that I have and it gives me a sense of satisfaction that my concepts are being realized. So then I started my journey to becoming an architect back in 2010 here in Bicol. Many would ask, why did I not study in Manila? And I would simply answer, it's because I have all the resources I need here in Bicol. I chose to study and practice in Bicol because architecture is not just about making buildings. It is also about carefully understanding who the end users will be, and you need to be familiar with their customs and their culture. Back in college, I was totally mind blown when I learned about how architecture was not just about planning and making sure that the buildings I was involved in making would look pretty. In order for me to get by all the things that I had to do and learn, I would avoid cramming and manage my time well to make sure that all my subjects, including the minor subjects, would receive enough time. I was enrolled in subjects that were very unfamiliar and alien in concept. Well, at least for me, yun nga, hindi siya masyadong familiar. Architecture's scope is immensely vast, and most of the time, you really have to do intensive research, like how you're going to make a building function, and how the utilities are supposed to be installed. At first, I really thought I just had to make the building look good. But it involved a lot of planning and not just design because to make a building work, you have to consider every aspect of it, from the electrical, the plumbing, to the sanitary, and even the mechanical part. I was overwhelmed with all the things that I needed to learn, and I diverted my focus on the topics that were unaccustomed to me when needed. That is why I always did my research for me to overcome the unfamiliarity. And since I did my research, it eventually became easier for me to determine how I would use a certain space or manipulate a space. There will also be times that sometimes I do not understand what I would read about, but I would go the extra mile and observe structures and its available facilities to see how they function. I would even go by the day riding the elevator in a couple of malls and hotels here in Naga just to learn how the elevators were installed. Nevertheless, There were times I would feel super loaded with the information, and as a college student then I would also feel tired and sometimes burnt out. And even up until now, I still feel that. My college schedule was jam-packed since my class would start from early in the morning and it would end late at night. And my current situation isn't far from before, since I would attend a day job at BMC as their resident architect, a part-time college instructor, and a freelance consultant. I know that's a lot, so in case you feel that the pressure is overwhelming, take a break because you also need to rest. Personally, it's really hard for me to balance school, work, and my personal life. So I tend to take my rest out to a quick jog, to eat, to work out at the gym, or even watch series with a glass of wine on the side. In my profession, there will always be times where I would also feel that I have run out of ideas. I would think that I have already used all of the concepts that the world can offer. But I continue to surprise myself, even to this day. When this happens, I usually travel. When this happens, I usually travel and notice the world around me. I know there is still a pandemic and there are travel restrictions, but sometimes just noticing everything that is around you, you can leverage on that and create one great concept. You would be surprised at what flora and fauna can inspire the buildings that we see today. As an architect, what is satisfying for me in practicing the profession is when your concepts and your drawings get to be executed, especially when my concepts are translated the way I want it to be. But one thing that really satisfies me is when I complete projects that would benefit patients with mental health needs. My mom works as a medical social worker, and back in college, I was already exposed to the realities of how the mental health facilities in Bicol needed much attention. In 2019, I'm happy to say that I was hands-on in giving Don Susana J. Rodriguez Memorial Mental Hospital, or famously known as Cadlan, in Cadlan, Pili, a rehabilitation, a renovation, and a facelift. Here's a short clip from TV Patrol Bicol.
Laom na mahiraan lumang lalawgon kan Don Susano Rodriguez Mental Hospital sa Cadlan, Pili, Camarines Sur. Ini sa pagikan modernong disenyo kan ospital na padagos ang mga patrabaho digdi ngunyan. Nagpapatrol Miles Melia.
Sa enot na hiling, huhunaong hotel ang edifisyo na pigkukonstruir sa Cadlan, Pili, Camarines Sur. Maaliwalas na maray ang mga pasilyo, moderno asin makulor na disenyo ng mga kwarto, pati sa mismong comfort rooms, sosyal nanggad. Ang edifisyo na ini makukuha sa laog kan Don Susano Rodriguez Mental Hospital kan Bicol Medical Center Department of Psychiatry. Ang arkitekto na si Kim Ciudadano ang nagdisenyo kaini, susog sa iyang thesis ka nasa kolehiyo pa. Istorya kay ni Architect Kim sa hoven na edad na bukas na sa iyang kaisipan sa dating lalawgon kan pasilidad.
Growing up, my mother worked here as a social worker. I saw the patients, how the patients are, serviced here. So I wanted to give something better for them through architecture.
Imbes na ang nakatudang diretso sa nang rehas, pigkorteng dahon ang mga batbat sa mga pinto kan 16 na ward kan pasilidad. Magkakaiguman ng garden pati outpatient therapy area. An Assistant Administrator Designate kan Mental Hospital na si Teresa Galvan ang pinakatutok ng GAD sa proyektong ini. Sabi niya, kada disenyo asin mga ginigibo ninda, katuwang ang contractor sa modernong mental hospital, tinuyo ng GAD para sa hararom na rason.
Dignidad, magayon na pagkatao. Personally, gusto ko lang siguro matakwa na ning maray na pagmamati. Kasi arong na nga niya na namamatian ta, like for our depressed patients, arong na nga ni kanina namamatian ta. And yet, pag igdita, garo, very depressing din ang lugar. Pero pag nahiling ta, maliwalis ang lugar, garo, mabubuhayan ka na, garo, feeling mo there will always be a hope. Kasi ang samuya digdi yung team, garo, hope ni
Sanggatos milyones pesos ang pondo kan bagong ospital. Antes matapos ang taon, posibleng matapos na ang patrabaho. Pero sa primerong kwarto kan 2020, target na mabuksan na asin magagamit kan mga tawong may pangangaipo sa mental na salud. Miles Melia, ABS-CBN News.
Pursuing a degree in architecture requires a great deal of study, experience, and persistence. It is an art from itself, and there are many reasons why you can consider becoming one. For one thing, it might turn into your lifelong passion for design, into making beautiful buildings that will mark our world for a long time. But whatever it is that you choose to pursue, just go for it. Your dreams are valid, and these are what can get you through even in the worst of days. If you're struggling, always go back to your dreams and remember to keep going forward. Remember, there are no shortcuts in achieving anything that is great. Thank you so much and advance happy graduation.